Yes, Doc. Let us put ourselves in the most holy presence of God as we always say, in the name of Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord God, thank you for waking us up today. Thank you for this wonderful day that you have given us. Thank you for the blessings, for the good health, for everything, Lord. And please guide us as we have our lecture for today. That we may learn new things, and this all we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen. And Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Okay, thank you, Ange. Sige. So, hello and good morning again. So, for this morning, my correlate will be on the microscopic structures of cartilage and bone. Okay, I will share my slide. Okay, so can you see the slide? Can you see my
Yes, Doc.
screen?
Yes,
Okay.
Doc.
Okay, so let us start. So for the cartilage, okay, this is a specialized form of connective tissue. Wait, a moment. Okay, so cartilage is a specialized form of connective tissue, and this consists of cell. So the cell component here is about 3 to 5%, which includes the chondroblasts, the chondrocytes, as well as the fibroblasts, as seen in the fibrocartilage. Okay, the rest of the composition of the cartilage is composed of extracellular matrix, which is highly specialized. Okay, 95%. Okay, this accounts for 95% of the total composition. Okay, and here the major structural or the major matrix protein is composed of collagen. Specifically, the bulk is composed of what type of collagen? Johanna, Pipito.
Type 2, Doc.
Okay, so when it is cartilage, it is composed of the predominant type of collagen here is type 2. Okay, although there are other collagen present like type 9, 10, 11. But what predominates here, the bulk is type 2 collagen. Okay, and so the cartilage is a solid but pliable tissue because the extracellular matrix is mainly composed of organized or organic substances like the collagen fibers. Okay, and then the cartilage is also well hydrated, wherein 60 to 80% is composed of intercellular water, and this water component, will provide resilience to this type of tissue, as well as it will facilitate the diffusion of metabolic products within the cells. Okay. Now, there are three types of cartilage based on the characteristic of their matrix. So this will include the amount and the relative abundance of collagen as well as elastic fibers. So we have the hyaline cartilage, then the elastic cartilage, okay, and lastly is the fibrocartilage. Okay. So in general, cartilage are avascular and they don't have nerve supply. Okay, this is covered by a dense fibrous connective tissue known as the perichondrium, which will act as a capsule to this cartilage. Okay, and then this perichondrium contains fibroblasts or cells which resembles or indistinguishable from fibroblasts, and this will serve as the source of new cartilage cells. By the way, perichondrium is absent in which type of cartilage?
Articular cartilage, Doc.
Come again?
Articular cartilage.
Yes, but for the three types of cartilage,
Fibrocartilage, Doc.
okay, so this is absent in fibrocartilage. Okay. Now the cells of this cartilage, the predominant cells are the chondrocytes. So these are again specialized cells that will occur singly or in groups. So these single chondrocyte can undergo division, okay, to form clusters of cells, and we call this what? Group of cells.
Isogenous groups, Doc.
Okay, so these are known as isogenous groups. Other would call these cell families or cell nests. Okay, so these chondrocytes are the cells that will secrete the collagen, the proteoglycans of the matrix, as well as the metalloproteinases and enzymes that will degrade the matrix so that these chondrocytes can expand and will reposition within the isogenous groups. Okay. Now, the cytoplasm here would vary. It could be basophilic depending on the activity of the cell. So when it is actively producing matrix, then it will be basophilic. The cytoplasm would stain basophilic because of the protein content. Okay. And then if it is inactive, the cytoplasm may appear clear or less basophilic. Now, these chondrocytes are lodged within a space known as the lacuna. Okay. And individual chondrocytes are surrounded by this densely staining matrix, a ring of densely staining matrix known as the capsular matrix. So this contains high content of sulfated proteoglycans. That is why it has a strong affinity to basic dye. So it is basophilic. Okay. This also contains type 6 and type 9 collagen fibers. Now, the capsular matrix will protect the individual chondrocytes from mechanical tension or compression. Okay. On the other hand, this group of clusters of chondrocytes forming the isogenous groups will be surrounded by a less staining, less basophilic matrix, which is known as the territorial matrix. So here, this contains type 2 collagen fibers, okay, and a small amount of type 9 collagen fibers. And lastly, we have the territorial matrix. So from the word interterritorial, so meaning between groups of isogenous groups or the ones surrounded by the territorial matrix, we have the interterritorial matrix. Okay, so this is less basophilic as compared with that of the two matrices mentioned. Okay, so this is the hyaline cartilage, and identify the specimen. Can you identify this specimen? This is the hyaline cartilage, and then this is the lining epithelium. So what specimen is this? Harvey.
Is that the larynx? No.
Actually, this is just a part, no? This is part of the trachea. This is the tracheal ring, okay, which is composed of hyaline cartilage. And what is the lining epithelium? That will come out in the exam. So since this is a trachea, this is lined by what type of epithelium?
Is it stratified squamous, Doc?
What else? Another guess. Diba you have drawn this one during the epithelium, the exercise on epithelium? As the assignment, huh? Okay, so this actually, this is the trachea. One of the common example of hyaline cartilage is the trachea. Okay, aside from the trachea, what other or where other kind of cartilage or structures can you find hyaline cartilage? Where is Nicole and Neres? Yes?
Costal cartilage.
Okay, the costal cartilage of the rib cage. Where else?
The larynx, Doc.
Okay, specifically, which part of the larynx? Okay, a larynx can also be composed of the other types of cartilage.
Cricoid and arytenoid, Doc.
Okay, so it can be in the thyroid, cricoid, and arytenoid cartilage of the larynx. Okay, then you can also find your hyaline cartilage in the bronchi. Okay, as well as in the epiphyseal plate or epiphyseal cartilage plate of long bones and the fetal skeleton. Okay, so this one is a closer view of the hyaline cartilage. Now this cartilage, which is the most common type among the three, the matrix here will appear glassy, semi-translucent, or opalescent, and it has basophilic and metachromatic reactions due to your glycoaminoglycans, specifically your keratan sulfate and chondroitin sulfate. Okay, the matrix will also appear homogeneous because that's under the light microscope, because the ground substance and the collagen fibers have approximately the same refractive index. So the collagen fibers here are masked. Okay, so this matrix here are composed by the chondrocytes which are lodged in the lacunae. Okay, so by the way, in hyaline cartilage, you will see a lot of cell families or the isogenous group. Okay, the next type is what you call the elastic cartilage. So identify specimen. Anybody? This is the cartilage here. Okay, and this is the lining epithelium. If you can see, identify the lining epithelium here is what? Can you identify the lining epithelium? Veins, pintac. Where's veins? Okay, this is what? Stratified squamous. Okay?
Yes, Doc, this is stratified squam. Doc, weren't you able to hear me a while ago, Doc?
Yeah, sorry, wasn't able.
I'm so sorry, Doc. I think I was on mute, Doc. Yes, Doc. Is this the epiglottis, Doc, for the specimen, Doc?
Yes, so this is your
Okay.
epiglottis. Okay? Aside from
Yes,
the
Doc.
epiglottis, other example of your elastic cartilage, where you can find the elastic cartilage. Where else?
The pinna of the external ear, Doc.
Yes, the external ear. Okay? And then you also have the walls of the auditory and eustachian canals. And for the larynx, it's in the corniculate and the cuneiform cartilage. So how does it differ from hyaline cartilage?
Doc, for the elastic cartilage, Doc, I think it has kind of the properties of your hyaline cartilage, except that an additional property of having the elastin in it, Doc.
Okay, so from the word elastic, it contains the elastic fibers. Okay, that will give elastic property to this cartilage in addition to resilience and pliability. And also it provides greater flexibility to withstand repeated bending. Okay, now this is how a closer look of the elastic cartilage. Just like the hyaline cartilage, it is also surrounded or covered by your perichondrium. Okay, and then the chondrocytes here, which are large in the lacuna, can occur singly or in isogenous group, but in elastic cartilage, the lacuna are larger, and there are few cell families as compared to elastic. Okay, and they have the propensity or the tendency to undergo fatty degeneration. Now here, since the chondrocytes will, due to the shrinkage of chondrocytes, or they are lost during tissue preparation, the lacuna will stand out and it will appear as light unstained area against a darkly stained matrix. Okay, and then unlike hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage will not calcify with age. Okay, so in gross cartilage, gross specimen, this will appear yellowish in color. So that is why it is also known as the yellow cartilage. Okay, so in addition to type 2 collagen fibers, the elastic cartilage contains these branching elastic fibers, okay, that will appear or purplish in color. Okay, and then lastly, we have the fibrocartilage. So this is a combination of the dense regular connective tissue and the hyaline cartilage. So what are the fibers, the collagen fibers present here? Anybody? This is abundant in this type of
Type 1, Doc. Abundant siya sa type 1 and it has presence of type 2.
Type
Okay, so both type 1, which is characteristic of your connective tissue matrix, and type 2, which is characteristic of your hyaline cartilage. So the chondrocytes here, again, which are located inside a lacuna, can occur singly or in isogenous groups, but rare, no, mas rare ang cell families here as compared with the elastic and the hyaline cartilage. Okay, and the lacuna with the enclosed chondrocytes are arranged in rows between heavy bundles of parallel wavy fibers of the type 1 collagen. Can you give an example of fibrocartilage?
The pubic symphysis, Doc?
Okay, the pubic symphysis. Where else?
Menisci of the knee joint, Doc.
Okay, the meniscus of the knee. And this one, how about this one? Pay attention to the arrangement, the specific arrangement of the collagen fibers. This is the, under the light microscope, the type 1 collagen fibers, your intervertebral disc, specifically in the annulus fibrosus. Okay, these are arranged in layers with fibers of adjacent layers oriented at right angles, and this one, the chondrocytes here, okay, are arranged between the two layers. So it gives what type of arrangement of the fibers, which is classic now to your intervertebral disc.
Herringbone, Doc.
Okay, so remember that one, the herringbone appearance of the fibrocartilage of the intervertebral disc. Okay. At times, you will see small cells here with elongated or stunted nuclei, and those are the fibroblasts. So in fibrocartilage, the cells here are your chondrocytes and also the fibroblasts. Okay, so I guess that's all for the cartilage. Any questions before we proceed to bone? Okay, if there's none, then we'll have the bone. So the bone is also a specialized connective tissue. And like other connective tissue, it has cellular components. Okay, it has both cellular components and extracellular matrix. So for the cellular components, this includes the osteoblast, the osteoclast, the osteocytes, as well as the osteoprogenitor cells, which are the precursor of your osteoblast, and also the bone lining cells. Okay. And the extracellular component of the bone is composed of two components. You have the organic matrix and the inorganic matrix. So the organic matrix here is composed largely of the type, what type of collagen?
Type 1.
Yes. Type what?
Type
What
1
is
collagen?
Okay,
Type
so
1, Doc.
remember, for bones, it's type 1 collagen. For cartilage, it's
Type 2.
type
Type
2.
2.
Okay, although there are other types of collagen present, but again, for type 1, the predominant collagen is type 1. Okay, so that is the major structural component, is type 1 collagen. And then it also contains the inorganic matrix, specifically the calcium phosphate, okay, which are deposited in the form of hydroxyapatite crystals. So that is why bone is a solid and rigid tissue, since the extracellular matrix is mostly inorganic substance, composed of inorganic substance, the calcium phosphate. So here, bone is distinguished from other connective tissue because the matrix will undergo mineralization. It will calcify to form a hard tissue that will provide support and protection. Okay, so macroscopically, the bone is composed of two forms. One is the compact bone or the dense bone, which forms the outer surface of the bone. Okay, so this is a solid continuous mass that provides protection to the hollow part of the bone, and the inner portion or the interior is composed of this numerous interconnecting bone trabeculae, and that is the spongy bone or the cancellous bone. So these trabeculae are separated by interconnections or interconnecting bone or marrow spaces. Okay, Bone trabeculae are these thin branching spicules of bones, anastomosing spicules of bones. And spaces within this meshwork are occupied by the bone marrow and the blood vessels. Okay, so in a compact bone, what are the microscopic structures seen here? Okay, so this is a cross-section of a compact bone, and this specimen is unstained. And remember, this is unstained. And you can appreciate the structures better under the light microscope if you subdue the light. So you have to adjust the diaphragm, the aperture of the diaphragm, so as to dim the light, okay? Okay. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes, Doc.
Okay, sige. So, here in the compact bone, the bone matrix is composed of mineralized interstitial substances which are deposited or laid down in layers or known as lamellae. Okay, so we have three patterns of lamellae. What are these? James.
Interstitial lamellae, Doc.
Okay, what is interstitial lamellae?
It's a remnant of the previous lamellae between two union. Then we have the peripheral lamellae, Doc.
Okay, what is the peripheral lamellae?
So it's the lamellae outside the whole system of the. I forgot the term about the where it passes the Haversian canal, Doc.
Okay, and then what else?
I only remember the two, Doc.
Yeah, okay. So one of which is your concentric lamellae. So concentric meaning it is ring-like. So these are the lamellae that are arranged ring-like, or it surrounds a central opening or a central canal. And this concentric lamellae plus the central canal comprises the Haversian system or the osteon. Okay, so there are about 4 to 20 lamellae in one osteon. Okay, so this is one osteon here, bigger, and a smaller one. Okay, and also within the bone matrix, you will find these spaces or cavities or compartments which contains what cell? What are the cells lodged inside this lacuna?
Osteocytes.
Osteocytes.
So for the cartilage, you all have a lacuna there where you can see the chondrocytes. But in bones, the one inside the lacuna are the osteocytes. Radiating from all direction of the lacuna are these minute tunnels known as canaliculi. So this will communicate with the canaliculi of the neighboring lacuna. So therefore, the lacuna here will form a continuous system of cavities which is interconnected by an extensive network of minute canals. Okay? And within the canaliculi, it contains the cell processes of the osteocytes. Okay? So these canaliculi are essential for the nutrition of the bone cells or the osteocytes. Okay? Now, between osteons, you will find this angular piece of lamellae, okay, which is the remnant of the previous concentric lamellae. Okay, this is formed as a result of bone remodeling and the formation of new osteons. So we call this as the interstitial lamellae. And if you can see this thin refractal line that sharply demarcates the limit of the osteon and the interstitial lamellae, then this is what you call the cement line. Okay. Now, what are, this is the third pattern of your circumferential lamellae. Okay. So we have the outer and the inner circumferential lamellae. So these are located outside of the osteons, no? So immediately beneath the periosteum is the outer circumferential, and adjacent to your endosteum is the inner circumferential lamellae. And then, what are the important vascular channels in the compact bone? Where's Queenie?
Yes, Doc. One of which would be your Volkmann's canal, Doc.
What is a Volkmann's canal? So how do you describe it? Queenie.
Yes, Doc. I'm not quite sure of this one yet, Doc. I would need to review on this one, Doc. Sorry, Doc.
Okay, so basing on this illustrations on these slides, this is your Volkmann's canal. So it is transversely or obliquely oriented, and it connects to Haversian canal. Okay, so this is the Haversian canal, which is surrounded by your concentric lamellae inside the osteon. Whereas the Volkmann's canal, you can identify this because it is not surrounded by concentric lamellae. Okay, so the Haversian canal here contains 1 to 2 small blood vessels, mostly the capillaries or the post-capillary venules and occasional arteries. Whereas the Volkmann's canal, this will establish the vascular communication between the blood vessels coming from the marrow and the periosteum to the Haversian canal. Okay, so the bone lacks lymphatic vessels, so therefore the drainage will occur in the periosteum. Okay, so now we proceed to the cellular components of the bones. So one of these are the ones that I'll be pointing here are the ones that can be seen under the light microscope, supposed to be during your histolab work. Okay. So one of this is the osteoblast. So this is known as the bone-forming cells. So how do you describe the shape of an osteoblast? Where's John Nino de la Torre? How can you identify that these are osteoblasts? Yes, John.
Good morning, Doc. They are cuboidal, Doc. Polygonal or cuboidal in shape, Doc.
Okay, and where are they located?
They are located primarily in the bone matrix, Doc. Oh, wait. No, surface of the bone.
Okay, of the newly formed bone. Okay, so this osteoblast, yeah. Okay, so the bone-forming cells, okay, are cuboidal. Yes, they're cuboidal or polygonal in shape. And take note, they form a single layer that is closely in close opposition to the surface of the new formed bone. Okay, so with the use of a periodic acid shift reaction, it reveals a pink staining granules in its cytoplasm, which is believed to be the precursor of the bone matrix. And then the nucleus of these cells are located farthest from the surface of the bone. So what is the origin of your osteoblast?
The osteoprogenitor cells, Doc?
Okay, it comes from the osteoprogenitor cells. Okay, and what happens with the osteoblast when it secretes? This is the one that will synthesize and secretes the bone matrix. And once it is surrounded by the bone matrix, it is transformed into the osteocytes. Okay, so however, not all of the osteoblasts will become osteocytes. So it's about only 10 to 20% of these osteoblasts will transform to osteocyte, and the rest mostly will undergo apoptosis. However, some will also become inactive cells, and it will be transformed into the periosteal or the interosseal bone lining cells. Okay, so next we have the osteocytes. So this definitely originate or comes from the osteoblast. So once again, the osteoblasts are surrounded by the osteoid or the unmineralized matrix, it becomes an osteocyte, which will be lodged in the lacuna. So it takes about 3 days to transform an osteoblast to an osteocyte. And these osteocytes will develop about 50 cell processes that will be enclosed inside the canaliculi. Okay, and these processes will communicate with the processes of neighboring osteocytes via a gap junction. So the cytoplasm of your osteocyte is less basophilic as compared with that of your osteoblast. And then the shape of the cells here will more or less conform to the shape of the lacuna. Okay, so these osteocytes will function to maintain and preserve the integrity of the bone matrix. There are functional states of the osteocytes. What are these? Can you remember?
The quiescent, formative, and resorptive osteocytes, Doc.
Okay, so you have the quiescent, the formative, and the resorptive osteocytes. So please read on that. It's in your, this in your book in Paulina. Okay. Now these cells are long-living cells, so naturally their lifespan would extend up to 10 to 20 years. Okay, but some of these cells will undergo apoptosis, necrosis, senescence. Okay, even with bone remodeling activity of the osteoclast. Okay. So once they are liberated from their lacuna, these cells will become a quiescent bone lining cells. Okay. Then lastly, we have another important cellular component, and this is the osteoclast. Okay, how do you describe an osteoclast? Anybody?
Large multinucleated sila, Doc.
Okay, so very distinct to an osteoclast. These are large, giant, multinucleated cells. So these are the agent of bone resorption. Okay, and this cell contains about 50. So the kayo nga nuclei. That's why it's called multinucleated giant cells. Okay, and these are located at sites where bone is being removed, or it will rest directly on the tissue where bone resorption is taking place. And this is also lodged in a space called the resorption bay or the Hauschilt's lacuna, which results from the erosive activity of these cells. Okay, so what is the origin of the osteoclast? Does it have the same
Your
origin?
hemopoietic cells, Doc.
Okay, so it
Your
differs from
hemopoietic cells, Doc.
yeah, so it differs from the osteoblasts and the osteocytes, which originates from the mesenchymal stem cells. For the osteoclast, it comes from the mononuclear hematopoietic progenitor cells. Okay, so their function is primarily for bone resorption in the process of bone remodeling. So once these osteoclasts are done with their function as a bone resorption, they will undergo apoptosis. Okay, so this is a close view, close-up view of the osteoclast, and this part of the osteoclast here that is located directly in contact with the bone surface is known as the ruffled border. Okay, so this is composed of deep plasma membrane enfoldings that will form a microvillous structure. Okay, that will increase the surface area for the exocytosis of the enzymes, the hydrolytic enzymes, and also for the endocytosis of bone debris and degraded products. Okay. Another region that is specialized region of the osteoclast is the clear zone or the ceiling zone, although we cannot appreciate it with the use of your light microscope. So this is adjacent to the ruffled border. It forms a ring-like perimeter, and it contains an extracellular matrix adhesive molecules that forms a tight seal, okay, between the plasma membrane and the bone surface or the bone matrix. Okay, and the osteoclast also has a basolateral region for exocytosis. Okay, so for example, this is a practical exam. You'll be asked to identify the structure pointed or the cell pointed. So for this one, what is this? On the upper left portion, this one. Take note.
Osteoblast.
Okay, take note of the shape of the cells, cuboidal. It forms a single layer on the surface of the of the bone trabeculae. And this is the osteoblast. What about this one?
Osteoclast.
Osteoclast.
Osteoclast, Doc.
Very clear, no? Large, multinucleated giant cells, osteoclast. Can you appreciate or can you see here the osteocytes? Are there osteocytes here?
Mm,
So this one here on the upper part. Okay, so these are the osteocytes which are lodged in the lacunae or lacuna. Okay. Okay, so in a long bone, just like the femur, okay, you have the long central shaft, which is known as the diaphysis, and then you have a flared, rounded ends, known as the epiphysis. Okay, where is the metaphysis? Where can you find the metaphysis?
In the junction
Doc.
between the epiphysis and diaphysis, Doc.
Okay, so your diaphysis, this is composed of compact bones, okay, whereas your epiphysis is composed of spongy bones. However, this is lined by a thin cortical compact bone, and the articular or the free surface is lined by what type of cartilage?
Hyaline cartilage, Doc.
Okay, it's hyaline cartilage. Huh? And then, so in the growing period, where does the increase in length of bone occur? In the diaphysis, epiphysis, metaphysis?
Epiphysis, no?
The increase specifically where?
Epiphysis, Doc.
Growth plate.
Epiphyseal plate.
Official.
Okay, it is in your epiphyseal cartilage plate or the epiphyseal growth plate, which is in this area. Now, from the epiphyseal plate to the adjacent spongy bone of the metaphysis. Okay, so within this region, you will find this epiphyseal cartilage plate, the different zones. Okay, that is why a bit where the increase in length would occur. So, what are these zones of the epiphyseal cartilage plate? Okay, we start from the epiphysis down to the diaphysis. So the first zone is known as the zone of resting cartilage or the reserved cartilage. What happens here? John
Nothing,
Marie,
Doc.
Nothing happens, sir, Doc.
what do you mean nothing happens? How do you describe the cells here?
Cells
There
are
is no
not yet arranged, Doc.
proliferation, Doc.
Come again? Come
Cells
again?
are not yet arranged, Doc.
Arranged in what?
Then
In
there's also
columns
no
or rows.
there's also no proliferation, Doc.
No cellular proliferation, Doc.
Okay, this because they are resting. Okay, so what cells are present here? Osteocytes, chondroblasts, fibroblasts.
Chondroblast, Doc.
There are still chondroblasts, no? Remember, this is the epiphyseal cartilage. So this consists of chondroblasts. Okay, so this contains a small kind of randomly arranged chondroblasts or chondrocytes rather. These are chondrocytes, and there is no cellular proliferation nor active bone matrix production. So since this is the resting zone or the reserved cartilage zone. The second zone is known as the zone of proliferation. So what happens here? How do you differentiate it from the zone of resting cartilage?
Doc, the cells are arranged in rows, Doc, and they are parallel to the long axis of the bone.
Okay, so cells here are proliferating or they undergo cell division. Okay, they are arranged in rows or in distinct columns, and because these are also producing collagen, the cells here produce collagen type 2 and type 11. Okay, and because of the cellular activity in this region, it will push the epiphysis away from the diaphysis, thus increasing the length of the bone. Okay, so next is the zone of maturation and hypertrophy. So what happens here? What happens to the cells here?
They increase in size, Doc.
Enlarge, Doc.
Okay, so hypertrophy, no? So the cells here, cell division stops. Okay, no more cell division, unlike in the zone of proliferation. And the cells and the lacuna are greatly enlarged and they appear cuboidal. Okay. The chondrocytes here also continue to secrete their type 2 collagen and type 10 collagen fibers. Okay, and the older chondrocytes which are enlarged will start to signal the surrounding matrix to calcify. Okay, that is why The next zone is known as the zone of calcifying cartilage or calcified cartilage or the zone of calcification. So here, the matrix is already calcified. Okay, the chondrocytes, what happened to the cells here?
Undergo
Undergo
apoptosis.
apoptosis, doc. Okay, so the cells here will die, it will degenerate, okay, and then the lacuna will open up and it will be invaded by the capillaries. So the calcified cartilage here will serve as the initial scaffolding or the framework for the deposition of new bones. So take note, in these zones, the dying or the dead cartilage cells will cement the epiphyseal plate to the diaphysis, okay? And it forms or borders the creation of new bony matrix. So these chondrocytes will die and will leave behind a trabecular-shaped calcified cartilage. But this is not yet a bone. So bone will really start, formation of bone will really start at the zone of ossification or the developing trabeculae of the metaphysis. So how do you describe this zone? In the zone of ossification. Anybody? Where is Eloise O'Malley? Eloise.
Hello, Doc.
Hi.
For the zone of, sorry, that was a question. What happens in the zone of ossification?
Yes.
This is where like there is an invasion of osteocyte.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Like formation of more vessels, Doc.
What else?
Also, for this one, like there's matrix formation and like the formation of honeycomb appearance na cartilage,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. What about Anna Isabel Velez? Do you agree with Eloise?
Yes, Doc.
Mm-hmm. What are the important cells here? The ossification cells present here.
Osteoprogenitor and bone.
Osteoblast. I'm not so sure, Doc.
Okay. See. So for this zone, this is where the primary, this is characterized by the formation of your primary spongiosa. Okay. Here, the osteoclast will digest the calcified cartilage, and the osteoblast will replace them with actual bone. Okay, in the shape of the calcified cartilage that will result into a bone trabeculae. So this primary spongiosa, what is primary spongiosa? How do you describe the composition of your primary spongiosa? So if you have a primary, you can also have a secondary spongiosa. Okay, so this primary spongiosa is composed of network of bone trabeculae. However, each trabeculae is composed of calcified cartilage core, and it is surrounded by a layer of newly formed bone. Okay, so that is in the zone of ossification. And then lastly, we have the zone of resorption. So please direct your attention in the lower part of the slide where you can find the zone of resorption. So here you will find the secondary spongiosa. The primary spongiosa will be converted or be transformed into a secondary spongiosa. How does it differ from a primary spongiosa? Where's Abigail Kura?
Hello, Doc. Good morning. Based on the picture, Doc, I'm not really sure, but it has a honeycomb appearance zone of resorption.
Mm-hmm. How does it differ from your primary spongiosa?
There, Wait lang, Doc, ha?
Mm.
Wait lang. I'm not really sure, Doc. Pero,
You just try. As I've said, in your primary spongosa, this is composed of calcified cartilage core, and it is surrounded by a layer of uniform bone. So therefore, in a secondary spongosa, this is composed of what? Okay, who can help?
yeah.
So for primary spongosa, it is composed of both calcified cartilage and a uniform bone. The calcified cartilage is located at the core, whereas for secondary spongosa, this is the bone trabeculae here is composed of completely or wholly made up of bone. So that's the difference. Okay, did you get it? So this is completely a bone. Okay, so I think that's all. Any questions?
Doc, I just want to ask, Doc, what is the
Yeah.
difference between a lacunae and trabeculae?
Trabeculae is this one, the bone trabeculae.
Okay.
Okay, and then lacunae is a space where you can find the cells. It's either osteocytes for the bone and chondrocytes for the cartilage.
Okay. Thank you, Doc.
Okay. For immature bones, the difference between mature and immature bones, the ossification, growth of bones, please read on that. That will still be a part of our exam. Okay. So for this morning, the ones I've shown to you are the structures that you'll be drawing later on for the histo exercises. Okay. So are there any questions, clarifications?
Just one clarification, Doc, about the growth of cartilage.
Growth of cartilage. Yeah.
Yes, Doc. So for the appositional growth, like it said in the book that it based on my understanding, Doc, it's like it recruits the perichondrium around it in the articular cartilage. I just want to know if that means that it doesn't come directly from the cartilage it's attached to, but it's neighboring, like neighboring members or cells.
Come again, sorry. What was your question?
So when during appositional growth, Doc, where does the articular cartilage, or where is the signal, the SOX9, directed towards? Is it directed towards the cartilage that articular cartilage is connected to, or is it directed towards the neighboring tissues around it?
I can't imagine. Come again. Wait, wait.
Para mas simple lang, Doc.
Excuse me. Sorry, Kay. I can't. The connection is not clear. Okay. Okay. Can I just Ron, was that you who asked the question?
Yes, Doc.
Can I just email it to you, or I'll post it to the classroom regarding your question?
Yes, Doc. Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Sige. Any more questions? Okay, none. So if there's no more questions, then we can go. Actually, if you have more other questions, you can email or post it in our histology classroom, okay, for everybody to see. Okay? Sige, so I think that's all.
May I ask a question, Doc?
Yes.
Where can we read further about the primary and secondary spongosa, Doc?
You can read that in Bloom.
Okay, Doc. Thank you, Doc.
If you have a copy of Bloom or from the library, there's more explanation of the bones there. in bloom. Okay, what else? Anything else? So if none, then you may go now. Okay, so don't forget for the histo exercise this afternoon. Okay, and please don't forget to click mark done once you are done uploading your work. Otherwise, it will be missing. Okay? Sige, thank you everyone.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
Doc.
Bye
Goodbye,
everyone.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you,
Thank you,
Doc.
Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
God bless. Bye bye.
Good.
Thank you, Doc.